What do you do? Is it rock and roll life after that? You said you were out with your children. You bring how much rock and roll is it in your life outside
I think it used to be a lot more.
Yeah.
Really?
It's just a different kind of rock and roll.
Yeah.
It involves Legos and zoos and things.
It's root beer, actually.
Yeah.
What's your definition of rock and roll?
My definition of rock and roll is it really doesn't have anything to do with lifestyle or like booze or partying or anything like that. It's just kind of this reckless kind of musical spirit that you don't have to be pretty and you don't have to be perfect. You could just like, but you have to sweat and play it like it's like you really mean it, you know? I mean, there are bands that aren't even rock and roll bands that I look at them like, oh my God, they're like, that's the most rocking thing I've ever seen in my life, you know? But yeah, I think a lot of people imagine rock and roll to be like that glamorous thing with Learjets and limos.
Business, positive and negative aspects of that. What do you say?
The negative aspects are mostly physical.
You're pretty much sore all the time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your back, your knees,
I think
throat.
It's really kind of nice though, because for a long time I felt like, oh, I'm 30-something. Well, we got to stay current. I always, want to keep up with what was happening. And then at a certain point, you just don't care anymore. And it's very liberating.
Like before going on at night, I drink 2 beers and I take 2 pills.
And now?
Well, those pills are Advil, you know? So that's what I do. I just take Advil like, okay, let's get out there.
But you look very healthy.
Because we're happy.
Yeah, but I heard one of the things on your rider, would you say rider?
Rider, yeah.
Yeah, rider, thank you, is champagne. When do you drink that, before or after?
I usually drink champagne after.
Yeah. We had a tour in Australia where the thing to do after the show was have chicken and champagne, fried chicken and champagne.
Okay.
Which is pretty...
It's an amazing meal. You ask any 5-star chef and he'll tell you that a good bottle of champagne, ice cold, and a hot bucket of fried chicken is like, it's like God's meal.
Kurt Cobain, a sweet and gifted man, dead at the age of 27. To Courtney Love, 1-year-old Frances Bean Cobain, Dave Grohl, Chris Novoselic, and Pat Smear, our deepest sympathies.
If the sad tragedy with Kurt Cobain wouldn't have been a fact, would you still be the drummer in Nirvana? Or do you think you would have continued with the, or fulfilled your dream with the side project? Stepping out, being the front man?
I started writing and recording songs by myself when I was in Nirvana. Before I was in Nirvana, I was doing it at a friend's studio. And it just felt nice to have that kind of outlet or exercise, I didn't want to write songs for Nirvana because Kurt was the greatest songwriter in the world. So for me, just to have it as my own little project was perfect, man. And I was kind of nervous about letting other people hear it because I didn't like the sound of my voice, and I didn't think my lyrics were good, and I was just sort of insecure. But then, as Nirvana became popular, I still kept doing it, And after Kurt died, it was really the thing that helped me get on with my life, And I'm really thankful for that. It still does, it gives me something to look forward to. It's rewarding. I feel like it's a personal achievement that it's a big part of my life, So I think that I always would have done it. It didn't matter whose band or what instrument I was playing. I just need to do it just to make myself feel better, you know.
What is the last thing you do before you go out on stage? There's like 20,000 people waiting for you.
Stick my earplugs in. That's the last thing I do.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. You don't have like this mantra, this Foo Fighter mantra.
No, we don't really do the group huddle.
Feels like we
You
should.
don't have a group
but
hug?
It feels like we should.
too self-conscious.
Yeah, I know. It either feels like too athletic or too religious or something.
But everybody does sit like, you know, Taylor sits there and plays drums on a chair for an hour. And Nate's playing bass and I play guitar. And
Come on, what am I doing?
Dave's doing a shot, but that's
I'm
fine.
drinking whiskey. It's
and
it.
Bouncing.
Yeah.
He's running in
I have
place
to run
for
in
an
place.
hour.
Yeah.
Okay, so
And we all are in the room together doing that.
That's
usually.
true.
So it's kind of a ritual.
Okay.
It's kind of like a married couple where they don't really talk before they go to bed. They just get in bed.
Will you just keep on playing as the Stones, like move on forever, or do you have a limit?
I don't know, we'll see. They're pretty fucking old.
But you're not. It was
Yet.
great talking
If
to
they
you.
make some advances in plastic surgery, we can keep
Yeah,
going forever.
we'll see what happens here.
That's great. Thank you very much.